And see, one of our faithfuls, always big shout out to him. But let's check it out right now. He said, Booker, did writers ever ask you to join the nWo? Now, we know in WCW, I believe you were approached by some of the members of the nWo. And then in WWE, you were in the nWo. So talk about that.
Yeah, man, it was a big deal. nWo was riding high in WCW when they came in, man, and of course, man, it exploded, man. Made the arenas double in no time. It was a ride that one could never want to forget, man. It was just a party every week, man. Every time coming on the road, nWo made it something special to be a part of as far as the like I say, the arenas go. But of course, the nWo had to get their feel, man. They came out, they beat somebody up every week. They left somebody in the ring laying every week. For some reason, I wasn't one of those guys. I never got left laying in the middle of the ring by the nWo or anything like that. So that was cool. What these guys brought to the table as far as the money side as well. I knew they were getting their piece of the pie, but they made the pie go up for a lot of guys like myself who was working at the top of the card. Man, they made my check actually go up a whole lot. So that part right there, I really understood from a business aspect. So that was cool. But to actually be a part of the group, the nWo, it was something that I just did not want to be a part of. I didn't want to be, in the mix with a bunch of different guys, coming out to, that one music. Sure, being a part of a group like that, you got to change, your just the way you work, the way you act and whatnot. And that's just not something I want to do. As well as those guys, man, they ran real hard. And that might have been something that could have, pulled me in as well. And that's not something that I was about either. I was always a loner. I always was about, making money. I was always about, coming to work and getting my work job done to the best of my ability every time, I came to work. So it might have been a huge distraction, with all those guys. And then the nWo became, it morphed. It became, so big, it blew up into, two separate factions. And for me to be a part of that, I could see myself getting lost in the shuffle real quick. So when I was approached, they say, hey, bro, we need some color. We need some color in the nWo. And I was like, hey, man, I appreciate it. But nah, man, I'm good, man. I'm a solo act. And I'm kind of glad I did stay a solo act. And then in the WWE, yeah, I was a part of the nWo for 1 week only. So it wasn't something like I was really a part of. So it just wasn't, something that I wanted to be a part of. I'm glad I didn't be a part of it. And if I would have, I wonder if we would be having this conversation right now. I wonder if I would have ever became heavyweight champion if I would have, joined that group. I don't think so.
I don't think so either. I think you had just been another guy. You had been just another guy. And there's so many of those guys who, and the nWo obviously did incredible business, and they were one of the most revolutionary factions of all time. I just want to make that clear. But some of the guys who were on the precipice, or not the precipice, but on the outside, right? On the outer rim of the nWo. Because here's the thing. When you have Hogan, Hall, Nash, Big Show, right? I mean, Giant when he was in WCW was massive, not just literally. I mean, he was big. Pac was there. Rick Rude was in the nWo. You had Ted DiBiase at one point, right? I mean, it was just so many stars all at one time. And it would have been hard for anybody to break through, especially a guy who hasn't had that main event run yet. Because at the time, you weren't in the main events, right? You might have just gotten out of Harlem Heat, or you're still in Harlem Heat and then getting out of it into the television championship picture, not in the main event. Had you been a part of the nWo, I don't think that we would be having this conversation. This show wouldn't be called the Hall of Fame. That's for damn sure.
Nah, man, I knew I was a worker.
Seriously.
Man. I knew I was a worker. I knew I was one of the guys that was bringing ratings to the show. I knew I had my own little cult following as well. So all I had to do was, just keep doing what I was doing. There again, when Eddie and those guys left, Dean Malenko, Benoit, and those guys left and went to WWE. A door opened for me in WCW. To just go out and do my thing. And those guys were there, and money was being made. And I was one of those guys to where I think I cared about, I really cared about the wrestling. I loved that part of it, but the business side of it, and trying to say, man, I don't want to see how much money I can make doing this thing. I think that's what I was thinking about more than anything. I was thinking about how do you work your way to the main event, and working that under that umbrella right there with those guys. How do you run with those guys? But I wanted to work with those guys, but there again, I didn't want to run with those guys. I didn't want to, be, in the bar drinking and, that kind of stuff. I just want to be able to go out there and do the work. And there again, I got a chance to do that, not being a part of that faction, and which was really cool. But like I say, they brought so much to the table, man.
Oh yeah.
I don't think the money would have gotten as big as it did in WCW if those guys would have came over there for me, perhaps. I don't know. I don't think so, because when those guys came in, the checkbook just seemed like it opened up, brother. And I was I was like, man, they was like, you didn't even, they was like, man, how much do you want? You know what I mean? I'm like, well, give me this much. And they were like, okay. Like, okay, great. Work next week.
You were happy to go to those Saturday night tapings. You're like, sign me up, man. How much?
I'm like, man,
I'll be there.
Money, man. Give me the money. Show me the money, brother. But no, it was a great time for me, man. Great time.